Now here we go through the list of the notorious ones so that you get a little awake to the propaganda and salesmanship and all the misinformation that's out there today, because people are going to tell you what they want for their own interest, and I don't think everyone's sinister, and I don't think everyone's bad, and I don't think everyone's just scheming constantly to get you to buy their product. I think people have, unfortunately, too little information. What I've tried to do in my life is when I don't know enough not to have an opinion, but unfortunately a lot of people jump to have opinions when they don't know very much. White sugar, it's 50% fructose and 50% glucose. Everyone knows that's bad, right? I always joke and say it's the only time I've ever been told something white is bad. Brown sugar. Remember the Rolling Stones? Great song, by the way. It's pretty much the same thing. Now, when I was first entering into all of this, they used to say, oh, eat brown sugar. It's much better than white sugar. I said, brown sugar is white sugar with molasses on top of it. That's about it. It's the same exact thing. Dextrose. Sucrose made from starch, so they could actually get that from a white potato. High fructose corn syrup, 55% fructose, 42% glucose. Most people out there listening today, your children, your friends, your family, your co-citizens globally, they're getting most of that from soda pop. But a lot of you raw food eaters are getting it from over-consuming fruits. And it's the same thing. You go, oh, well, it's in soda, so it's a different chemical. It's not a different chemical. Fructose is fructose. I don't care if it's in a ripe organic cherry or if it's in a soda pop. Same exact sugar. Now here's the big one. All the raw foodies freak out when I get to this one. This is the most systematically problematic of all processed sugars. If I wanted to give you something to hurt you, and I'm not like that, so I wouldn't do it, I would give you agave syrup. The minimum amount, and it's hardly ever this low, is 55% fruit sugar. Most of it that you're eating, certainly in the form that you're eating it, it's 90% fructose. Now let's go back and remind you what I said about 2 minutes ago. The only sugar that acts like fat in the body, reducing oxygen and preventing the possibility for sugar to be used as an uptake into the cell as energy, is fruit sugar. Other sugars you may have too much of, they may float around and be blood sugar, but the one that is most resilient and resistant happens to be fruit sugar. And that comes in agave syrup at the top of the list. So let's give agave syrup the #1 placement here. Come on. I know you reluctantly do that. You just had a raw pie, half of raw pie with agave syrup in it, because some raw foodie told you how wonderful that was. Maple syrup. Being an old resident of New England, boy, did I eat a lot of maple syrup. And out there, I hope I'm not offending you in the New England area, but if I do, listen closely. Because this is 60% sucrose, and not good for you at all either, but it's not fructose. Xylitol, derived from various fruits and plants. It used to come from what? A birch tree. So the original xylitol, but they've changed the law so they could make more money, had to come from a birch tree, which was pretty similar to maple, a little bit more sugar, but pretty much the same. Honey, the old standby. I used to eat, literally, my buddy and I, we shared an apartment, used to eat 1 gallon of honey a week. Now, when I read something was good, I really took advantage of that. And I remember, I was so addicted to sugar that we'd get these open mouth. I'd go sometimes an hour to find the open mouth honey jar that was this big. So I could take the whole wheat, of course, whole wheat organic bread, and stick it in with my entire hand and just pull it out and eat. I didn't even want to bother to spread it on there, 1 gallon a week of that stuff. 30% sucrose, 40% fructose. Brown rice syrup. 45% maltose, glucose, maltose. And then date sugar. You say, oh, it's from a date. High fructose content, depending upon the date. Medjool dates, my old favorite. My old favorite fruits always had the highest what? Sugar content, of course. My favorite orange, Honeybell. Didn't even exist 50 years ago. They spliced together a grapefruit and the tangerine and made sure it had a lot of sugar. Coconut sugar, the new guy on the block. The raw food communities love with this one. 79% sucrose, 3 to 9%, each glucose and fructose. Now, does this mean fructose is the worst and all the rest are okay? I'm just telling you the one that you thought was the best is the worst, and all the rest are horribly bad. So that's it. There's nothing on that list that you should ever consider consuming. That's it. Now we get to artificial sweeteners. Now here's where they get you. My poor mother, she would be sitting and eating a big giant piece of white frosty cake, and she'd always have a diet soda there. God bless her soul. And we'd say, Mom, you know, you're eating the cake. But she said, well, I have a diet soda. Yeah. And so this is how they control the minds of the public worldwide. You don't even know you're controlled. You think you have freedom, basically. They have you believing that if you're doing one thing right, it abolishes all of the wrong things you're doing. What nonsense that is. By the way, I have a book in my library called Aspartame Disease, the very one notorious one. Do you realize it's that thick? It starts with brain cancer and works its way through other diseases.